We're learning Parashat Ba'alotcha. And on Sunday, we didn't have a class because it was the holiday of Shavuot, thank God. And Monday, we did have a class, and we learned about the commandment that Aaron had of lighting the menorah and how it was so special, and we learned the big Ramban on that. And yesterday, we learned about Pesach Sheni. We learned about there were Jews that they weren't able to make the Passover offering, and God gave them the commandment of Pesach Sheni. Good. Then after that, there's a little bit we're going to skip. There's really a lot of material here, and I would like to do it, although we can't. Okay. God says to Moses, make 2 trumpets from one solid block of silver. And they should be there in order to call the whole congregation together. Everyone will hear it. And it'll also be in order to tell everyone when to travel. Mamasa machanot. When you sound them one time, then everyone will come in front of the tabernacle. One time, then the first time you sound it, then the Nisim, the leaders of the tribes, they'll come. If you do Truma, do it a second time, then they will travel, all of the camps will all travel together. So he says, what does this mean, traveling? It says, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah. Tekiah is doot, and Teruah, it's uncertain. There's 3 different opinions, but let's say for our purposes, Teruah is doot, 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 and then Tekiah, doot. That's how they traveled. That's then they would know to travel. When they would do it again, they would sound it again, then all of the tribes which are on the south side would travel. And they would sound it in order to the movement. Now, there's different opinions about exactly how the shape of the traveling was in the desert. But everybody agreed, we're going to learn that in a moment, exactly how it was. Anyway, and you want to gather everyone together, you just sound the simple blast, and you don't sound a do simple blast. The sons of Aaron, the Kohanim, they're the ones that sound the shofar, and this will be for all generations. When you go to war, and you're the enemy that's against you, so you sound these chatzotzros, you sound these trumpets, and you will be remembered in front of God. And also on the days of your holiday, on Rosh Chodashim, it says on Rosh Hashanah they would sound the shofar. On the fast days they would sound the shofar together with not the shofar. They would sound the trumpets together with the shofar. It would sound. All right. Good. So we know we have to make they would have to make these trumpets, 2 trumpets, and the trumpets would be used. Good. We didn't go that much into detail. Let's go. And it was on the 2nd year. And this week's Torah portion also talks about how the people were complaining about the manna. So I don't know if we're going to get to that. Well, let's try. Okay, now you remember the Jews got out of Egypt in what's called the first month. The first month is the month of Nisan, on the 15th day of the first month. That's called the first year they got out of Egypt. The first year they got out of Egypt, that was on the 15th day of the first month of the first year. Okay. In the second year, in other words, this is already after they got out of Egypt. 1 year, B'chodesh Hasheni, in the second month. So second month, that's already a year and 2 weeks. In the second month, the first day of the second month, Be'esrim l'chodesh, on the 20th day of the month. So it's almost 1 year and a month from when they got out of Egypt. The cloud went up from on the tent of meeting. Now you remember the Jews, like I just said, the Jews got out of Egypt. And this, we're talking about here, this is like almost exactly 1 year. Right? They got out of Egypt on the 15th day of the first month. And this is the 20th day of the second month, but 1 year later. So this is a 1 year and a month later, after they got out of Egypt. But it wasn't a year after they received the Torah. The Jews received the Torah 50 days after they left Egypt. So the Jews received the Torah in the third month, Sivan, the 6th day of the third month. So this is just shy of that. So let's see what Rashi says. Nimsa, so comes out, Shnei Masar Chodesh Chaser Yud Yomim, that it was 12 months, 1 year, minus 10 days. And it was 10 days shy of 1 full year from when they camped the first time at Chorev. At Chorev is Mount Sinai. Shari Barosh Chodesh Nisan, the first day of Nisan, the Jewish people camped there in Mount Sinai. They received the Torah 6 days later. So the first day of Sivan, the third month, they camped out. 1 year later, on the 20th day of the second month, they received this. So the 20th day, in 10 more days, would make 1 full year from the time they entered the Sinai desert the first time, when they camped. They camped around Mount Sinai first. Okay. So the cloud goes up. The Jewish people then have been camped around Mount Sinai for almost a year, 10 days short of a year. And the Jewish people get the sign they have to move. The cloud goes up. There was a cloud. So remember, a cloud protected them from all the different sides. We'll learn about this in a moment. The Jewish people went Midbar Sinai Vayishkona Anan, and this cloud then stopped in Midbar Paran. We're going to see it says 7 times the word Anan here. 7 times Anan means the cloud. The Sifrano says a little bit more. He says that this was in the beginning, or was it 20 days into the second month. So it says those people that couldn't make the first Passover on the 14th day. So it says they made these because they were impure or whatever. Then on the 14th day of that month, of the second month of the second year, they made the chatzos rows, and that told everyone to come and start to move. So therefore, that's when the cloud went up. It was on the 20th day of the month. Right? So in other words, the impure people were supposed to make the Passover 1 year, to commemorate 1 year after they left Egypt, but they didn't. So they had to wait 1 month. So after all these things happened, the impure people, they made the consolation Passover 1 month after the regular Passover. And they made these trumpets. And now they could announce for everybody that we should start to move. So therefore, they sounded the trumpet, and the cloud went up, and they were able to move. Okay, we're going to see what's going to happen. This is going to be a big tragedy over here. The Jewish people went on their journeys from Midbar Sinai, that's where the Mount Sinai was, Vayishkan Anan, and it stopped on a place called Midbar Paran. They traveled according to God. The cloud went up, and Moses was the one who announced it. Okay, now how did they travel? Now, just to remind everybody, I wanted to look for a picture and I couldn't find it. Oh, you know what? I do have a picture. 1 second, 1 minute, 1 minute. I have a picture. I have a picture. Here we go. Here. Oh, I got a picture. Here it is. Take. Oh. And make this picture over here. Here we go. Picture. Store it in. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Great. Okay, here's the picture. This is the picture I wanted. I don't know if you can see it, but we're going to talk about it. All right, let's see this. Supposing that you do see this picture. So I'll just explain it to you outside. Here we have the tabernacle. Right in front of the tabernacle, this is the entrance. This is the entrance. On this side here, this is the entrance to the tabernacle. And here is traveling, here is the camp of here's the tabernacle. Good. Here's the entrance of the tabernacle. Over here is 1 minute. I'm sorry, I am wrong. This is the entrance of the tabernacle. This is the east side. Here, east side. Does it say east? Oh, that's what it's supposed to be anyway. Okay, the east side. On the east side, there was camped Moses and Aaron and the tribe of Yehuda. And they're going to travel first. Yehuda is going to travel first. Okay, so that's the tribe of Judah over here. Excuse me 1 minute. That's right. Judah is over here first. Now let's go back to our original picture and see if we can correspond all these pictures one to the other. Ready? Let's go. There we go. Oh. So I don't know if I'm doing the right thing over here, but let's try it over here anyway. Okay. First of all, the one who traveled, Yehuda. That's what I said. And who was in the camp of Yehuda? The two tribes of Yisachar and Zevulun. It was Yisachar and Zvulun. Those are the three tribes. There were 4 camps. Each camp there were 3 tribes. The tribe of Yehuda, they were the first ones to travel. They camped nearest to the entrance of the tabernacle. They traveled first. And in that campment were Yehuda, Yisachar, and Zevulun. After that, Moses went in. I'm sorry, Gershon and Merari. We'll see how this works out. Afterwards, we'll see that Moses goes in and covers over all of the. First of all, he covers over the ark with the tabernacle in it, with the tablets in it. Covers over the ark with the tablets in it. He covers that over with a veil that's covering over the Holy of Holies. That's in front of the Holy of Holies. He covers that over. Good. And now everything is all ready to go. Comes Gershon and Merari, and they disassemble the Mishkan. Gershon, he takes the drapes, all the drapes, and Merari, he takes the boards, and they put them in these wagons that they carry. Gershon carried a few things also, but Merari, everything that he had, he put in these wagons. And then after that, there came Reuven. Reuven, he traveled, and there was Elitzur ben Shadeh. So far we have the whole entire camp of Yehuda travels. Then comes Gershon and Merari with all of the externals of the tabernacle. the boards and the curtains and everything. And then after them travels Reuven, and that's the camp, what's called Reuven. And together with the camp of Reuven, there's two other tribes. There's the tribe of Reuven, of course, that was it. And then there's Shimon, and there's Gad. And they travel after Merari and Gershon and Merari. Then after that comes Kahat. Kahat, they go and they don't have any wagons. They carry, everything that they carry has staves, poles that they carry. They came with the Mishkan ad Boam, and until they came to the new place where they were, right? So they're traveling now already. They're traveling group number 3. If you want, they are group number 4. First of all, there's Reuven. Then there's the 2 Levite families. First of all, there's Yehuda. Then there's 2 Levite families. Then there's Reuven, and then comes Kahat. So what happens? They set up everything on the outside. They put up the boards. They put up the curtains. They put up the drapes, and then after that comes Kahat comes and just puts in all the vessels. They put the ark. They put the 2 altars. They put the menorah on the left. They put the showbread on the right. And then after that, in traveling in the desert, right? Then there's Ephraim, the camp of Ephraim. With Ephraim is Manasseh and Benjamin. And then after that is Dan. That's the last of all the camps. And in the tribe of Dan is Asher and Naphtali. These are the travels of the Jews in the desert. Now, maybe you didn't exactly get this, so let me just go over with this picture that we had over here, and let's see if it works. Ready? It's flying over. Here we go. Let's try it again. Here. Oh, all right. Here are the camps. Each one has 3 tribes in it. When they were going in the desert, how did they travel? This is according to Rashi, in any case. This is how Rashi says. First of all, went Yehuda, this camp of Yehuda, they marched. So they were the first ones to go. Then after that, Moses and Aaron, they went in and covered over all of the vessels, the ark and the altars, the golden altar, the regular altar, and the showbread table and the menorah, they covered it over. Then after that went Reuven. Reuven was the next to travel. I'm sorry. They covered over. I made a mistake. After that, there comes Gershon and Merari. Gershon and Merari, they take the boards, and Merari takes the boards, and Gershon takes the drapes, and they travel. So we have Yehuda's traveling, and now Gershon and Merari, they're traveling after them. And after Gershon and Merari is traveling, Reuven. And after Reuven is traveling, Kahat. Kahat has all the ark and the 2 altars, etc. They have all the vessels. They're carrying things on their shoulders. And after them in the desert is traveling, right? Is traveling Ephraim, and the last one to travel is Dan. The camp of Dan. And again, each one of them contains 3 families. Yehuda contains Yisachar and Zvulun. They're the first one to travel. Reuven, they travel after Gershon and Merari. They have also 3 families, Shimon and Gad and Reuven. Then after them goes the tribe of Kahat. Kahat travels. After them, the last 2 camps, they travel after Kahat. The camp of Ephraim, together they have Manasseh and Benjamin. And the camp of Dan, together they have Naphtali and Asher. Of course, there's deep Kabbalistic meanings behind all this, and the sending of the and how it's relevant today. Vayomer Moshe, okay, next episode, Yitro. Now, if you remember, Moses married Yitro's daughter. Yitro was like the king of idolatry. He knew all the idolatry of the world. He was like the high priest of all the idolatry, and he realized that he had made a mistake, that it was all wrong. And he, especially when he heard about the miracles that happened with Moses, he defeated Amalek, and the sea split, and etc. So he converted. Chovev, he converted. So Chovev, that's Yisro. Vayomer Moshe leChovev, Moshe said to Chovev. Now Chovev, he's sort of out of place because he doesn't have a tribe. He's not really relevant to any tribe or anything because he's a convert. So Moses says to his father-in-law, Chovev, the son of Ra'ul, a Midiani, who is the Chatan Moshe. Chovev, he's Yitro. He is the father-in-law of Moses. Nosim Anachtu, we're traveling to a place that God told us to go. And he said he would give it to us. Please come with us, and I'll give you a lot of benefits because God, ki Hashem diber tov al Yisrael, because Hashem spoke good about this land of Israel, Eretz Israel. And God spoke good about it, and we want to go. We want you to come with. That's what Rashi said. Rashi says, we're going to the place where God told us. Now, really, when we're going to get there, they're going to get there in 40 years. They're going to travel around the desert. But so to speak, Moses didn't know this. That's what he says. We're traveling right here. They were like 1 year around Mount Sinai. And then they said, okay, we're going to go right now to the land of Israel, that God promises. Immediately says, Ad Gimel Yamim, 3 days. Anu nichnasim la'aretz, we're going to the land of Israel. Sheba Masa Zeh Rishon, that in this first journey, right, that we're leaving now from Sinai, this is in order to go into the land of Israel. Why didn't they go immediately? Because they did a bunch of sins. We're going to see it. Chatu be'mitonenim. They sinned with the complainers. They started complaining immediately. Why did Moses include himself with all of these? He said, we're all going to the land of Israel. He didn't go to the land of Israel. In fact, Moses didn't get in, right? He didn't go in. Why? Because Adayan lo nigzar gezerah love. Because Moses, if you remember, when he struck the rock, this was like right in the end of the 40 years Moses struck the rock. So because he struck the rock, as he thought that he thought he was going to go in, he hadn't been decreed that he wasn't going to go in yet. So Moses said to his father-in-law, we're all going to go into the land of Israel 3 days, please come with us. Vayomer Elav, and Yitro said, no, I don't want to go. I'm going to go back to my land and to my people, my im bishvil nechasi, im bishvil mishpachti, whether it's because of my family, or because of my properties. Okay, you are like to us. So it says, don't leave us because you know our travel, and you're going to be like to us like eyes. One explanation says Rashi means that in the past you gave us good advice. Another is that in the future, wherever we travel, you will give us good advice in the future. Another means that you're like the apple of our eye. Why? Because you're a convert. And a convert is very, very dear to the Jewish people. Like it says, V'ahavtam et hager, it's a commandment to love converts. You, Yitro, came on your own free will. We're born Jews. We didn't have any choice, and you chose to be a Jew. And when you go, whatever God gives us good, we're going to give it to you. He says, what type of a good is it? It said that it took a while until they divided up the land of Israel and built the temple. And in that time, so he said, eventually the temple is going to be built. This is going to be 440 years after they go into the land of Israel. The temple will be built. So 440 years, all that time is, we're going to give you a portion of land. Where is that? Here it is. Jericho. Dushna Shala Oretz is Yericho. Yericho, it says, is 500 amos on 500 amos. You're going to get this portion until the temple is built. Now, it's going to be totally to you and the relatives of Yitro, like it says, Yonadav, it says who they are. This is going to be yours, even though you're not actually a tribe, you're not related to a tribe, but it will be yours. That's what I'm going to give to you. Vayisu Mehar Hashem. So it says the Jewish people traveled from the mountain of God, Derech Shloshim, 3 days. For Aaron Brit Hashem, and the ark of the covenant of God, it floated in front of them. Shloshim, 3 days. The Tur Lehem Menucha, in order to make this 3-day journey, which they thought they were going to go to the land of Israel, 3-day journey to make it as pleasant as possible. Says Rashi, the ark floated in front of them 3 days in front of everyone. Because God wanted to bring them immediately into the land of Israel. Okay, which Aaron Brit is this supposed to be? I mean, Levi Kahat, he carried the ark. He was carrying the ark. Which type of tablets were these that were floating? It says this was the one. This is also the same ark that went with them to war. And what was in it? The broken tablets, the first tablets that God gave, that Moses broke them. They were there. And it would travel 3 days before in order to fix up a place for them to camp. Okay, we're going to see how exactly this was made. There was how could this be that the broken tablets were in there? Here it says. Okay, good. Let's just take that for face value. V'anan Hashem Yomam Benasam, and there was a cloud of God that was with them all the time when they were going in the camp. It says there were 7 times that clouds were written here. The word cloud, Anan, Anan. 4 of them were to the north, east, south, and west, protecting them. 1 of them was above them, protecting them from the sun. 1 of them was below, protecting their shoes and from the desert. And 1 of them went in front of them, in addition to this ark floating in front of them, but there was a cloud that went in front of them, that it leveled all of the mountains and it lifted up all the valleys and it killed all the snakes and the scorpions. Killed all the snakes and the scorpions. I don't know why they had to kill the snakes and the scorpions. I mean, they had clouds underneath them also, but anyway, that's what it did. Okay, let's just do this. This is the last we're going to do today. And this is what we say. Some people say that this is a book in itself. Remember this we talk about in the mimer in the morning, the sikha in the morning. Vayibin saw Aaron when this ark, when it's with the broken tablets in it, when it floated in front of them, Moses said, "Kuma Hashem, rise up, God, b'yafutzo ovecha, and disperse your enemies, v'yanusu misanecha mipanecha, and your enemies, and those who hate you will be dispersed before you." Benocha ubenuchao Yomar, and when the ark stops, they would say, Shuva Hashem rivavot alfei Yisrael, return, God, the tens of thousands of, with hundreds of thousands of Jews. That's what it would say. Now, if you look in the Torah, you'll see there's a big nun written in front, not a pei, nun, written in front of here and written in front of here, in front of these 2 sentences, to indicate that, according to some people, it's a separate book in itself. But Rashi says a little bit different. Listen to this. Rashi says that if you look in the Torah, you'll see that there are sizes, like an inverted letter nun. Inverted letter nun. A nun looks like sort of like a half, a capital I, only 1/2 of a capital I. In other words, a pole with two sort of tongues sticking out on the same side. That's the letter Nun. Upside down. There's one here before and there's one afterwards. Why? To say that this is not the place. This whole thing is not the place. This should have been said way back in the beginning of the book of Numbers when we talked about the traveling of the Jews in the desert, way, way back there. Why is it said over here? Why? To separate between Paronios and Paronios, between separate God's retribution and God's retribution. Like it says in Kisvei Kodesh. Now, what are the two types of retribution? One retribution, one big sin. One big sin is here. Immediately after that, like we read in the Sikh in the morning, remember? Immediately after this, according to that opinion, starts the third book of the book of Numbers. The people were complaining bad in the ears of God. And God heard and he got very angry and there was a fire that was burning. This is not good. Before this, there's also something not good. What's before? We just said everything. What's before this not good? This. Vayis'u mehar Hashem, that they traveled from the mountain of God 3 days. It says that they traveled from the mountain of God. Some people say that what it means is that they traveled away from God. They traveled away from God. God wanted to put them into the land of Israel immediately, but they were all the time they were complaining. So this was one bad thing. And there's another bad thing. People were complaining again. Mitonim. And the fact is, there's a third bad thing also, which that is over here. One second. A safsuf. The safsuf, this was what's called the Erev Rav. The Egyptians that falsely converted, that wanted to leave Egypt, so Moses took them along. They hitavu ta'ava. They started crying and they said, we don't like the manna. We hate the manna. We want bread. We want meat. We want meat. And this is when God brought them to the slav came down. These quails or whatever it is came down. Okay, so we learned though, let's just do quickly this sentence, these two sentences over here. Raise up God, because this ark was traveling 3 days before them, so Moses was saying, stand up and wait for us. Don't go too far, more than 3 days. And when you are traveling this ark, scatter all of our enemies that are gathered together to make war against us. Armies have to be organized, right? And all of our enemies will run away from us. They'll run. Yunusu misanecha. Misanecha, these are the people who are running after us. Instead of them running and pursuing us, is they will flee from us. And these are the people who hate you. Who are the people who hate you? The people who hate you are the Anti-Semites. Kol sonat Yisrael, anyone who hates Jews hates the one who spoke and created the world. So here you have an answer. There's all these books that are written, the psychology behind anti-Semitism and the history of anti-Semitism and the sociology between anti-Semitism and the inner workings of anti-Semitism and what, the economic, trying to analyze it, which brackets they come from, what nation they come from. Here it says very simple. The people who hate the Jews, they hate God. They would rather not hate the Jews, they would just rather hate God, but you can't see God, so they hate the Jews. Like it says, Misanecha Nasu Rosh. It says those people who hate you, they lifted up their heads. This it says in Psalms. Who are these? Who are the people who hate you? This next sentence it says in Tehillim. Tehillim, it says, Al Amcha, on your people Yarimu so. They make all sorts of weird plans and things to destroy the Jews. They want to destroy the Jews. And when it settles, so it says, return God, the tens of thousands of Jews. So it's hundreds of thousands, of millions, billions. And so it says, Ravavos Alfei Israel, he said it means 22,000. Says this, from here we learned that the Shekhinah, God's presence, does not rest on the Jews if it's a group of less than 22,000 Jews. Ravavos is 20,000 and Alfei is 2,000. 2,000. And if you remember, we learned back there with the Kli Yakar that he learned when we were counting the Jews, a special thing about the number 22,000, etc. Good, okay. That ends today's class in Chumash. Tomorrow we'll also have a class, and we'll learn the Haftorah of this week. This week's Haftorah portion we'll learn tomorrow. Maybe we'll learn a little bit about how they complained about the manna, but not too much. Here it's talking, there's the Haftorah is from Zechariah. Ooh, Zechariah is really strange. Zechariah, and there's we talked about this in the Haftorah, in the Torah oral class, the Lukuti Torah class, I'm sorry, the Lukuti Torah class in the morning. We talked about the menorah that Zechariah saw, that it's really the Jewish people, etc. So, okay, now let's do a little bit, at least, of Pirkei Avot, the chapters of the fathers, signing out over here.